Okay, here we go. You guys want me to read Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Can I read Elsa after this?
No.
Let's read this first.
But down.
We're going to read this one next, okay? You want to hold this one? Okay. We're going to read Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Okay. Alright, here we go. Once there was a reindeer named Rudolph who lived at the North Pole in Toyland. Rudolph was younger and smaller than the other reindeer there. They all had proud, tall antlers. Rudolph's antlers were only tiny stubs. Worst of all, Rudolph had a nose that was big and bright. It was so red it glowed in the dark. See it?
Yeah.
Poor Rudolph. He wanted to be like the other reindeer in Toyland. Oh, to have a small brown nose instead of a bright, bright red one. The other reindeer made fun of Rudolph and called him names. Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. They teased him over and over again until tears glistened in Rudolph's large red nose. Sometimes the other reindeer made a circle around Rudolph and sang, red nose, a funny sight, big as an apple and twice as bright. They kicked up snowballs with their tiny hooves, covered Rudolph with a blanket of white fluffy snow. All of the reindeer loved to play games. They played, I forgot to show this part. See it? Okay. All the other reindeer loved to play games. They played tree tag and snow slide and tumble bones. But Rudolph was never asked to play. He stood behind a pine tree and watched. He was very lonely.
Poor Rudolph.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
Rudolph couldn't even play hide and seek with the rabbits. His glowing red nose gave him away every time. Before Christmas Eve, Santa's elves posted a sign on the gate to Toyland. Santa's team choosing time. The sign said, all the reindeer were asked to line up at 8 o'clock in the meadow. Santa Claus was coming to choose the team that would deliver presents to every good little boy and good little what?
A little girl.
A little girl also, huh? Good little boy and good little girl, huh? The reindeer fairly danced with excitement when they heard the news. They pranced and tossed their antlers and pawed the snowy ground with their hooves. Each reindeer hoped he would be chosen to guide Santa's sleigh. It was the greatest honor a reindeer could ever have. It looks like they're pretty excited, don't you think?
Yeah.
They're super excited to possibly lead whose sled? Santa's sled, huh? Rudolph sighed. He was ashamed to have Santa see his bright red nose, so he decided to hide. He's hiding because he has a red nose. At 8 o'clock, when all the other reindeer had gone to the meadow, Rudolph hid behind a holly hedge. His bright red nose blended in with the bright red berries, and the thick growth of leaves concealed the rest of him. No one would find him there. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
In the meadow, all the reindeer in Toyland, except Rudolph, stood in line with Santa, inspected them. Santa chose carefully. Only the fastest and strongest and best reindeer would do. Fastest, biggest, and strongest, huh? I think Dasher will be fine. He's the biggest reindeer, said Santa. Dasher wrote his elf assistant in a big book, and Dancer is strongest, said Santa, pulling his beard. Dancer wrote the elf. Ho, ho, let's see, continued Santa. Here's Prancer and here's Vixen. They make the smoothest landings on rooftops. Comet is the fastest, and Cupid is the most sure-footed, said Santa. I pick them. And Santa said last, I choose Donder and Blitzen. They're best at twisting over treetops and skimming over telephone poles.
I didn't see Phil.
You see it?
Yeah.
The reindeer in Santa's team were very happy. They rubbed their noses, they danced and clinked their antlers together. Even the reindeer who were chosen were given good jobs. One was to try out electric trains. Another was to cuddle Christmas kittens. Christmas kittens? See it?
Yeah.
The only reindeer without a job was Rudolph. Oh, poor Rudolph. He wanted to help, but he knew he would be laughed at. So he stayed hidden behind the holly hedge. What do you think's going to happen, guys?
He's going to lead the sleigh.
What? You don't know that.
I do.
At last, it was Christmas Eve. Santa's elves were busy packing the sleigh. I don't care if they do make fun of me, said Rudolph suddenly. I want to help too. He dashed from his hiding place behind the hedge and went to Santa. There must be something I can do to help, he decided. The night was bitter cold and terrible fog covered all the earth. Santa's elves kept bumping into each other as they hitched up the team. They could hardly see as they put on each bright red harness and tied each jingle bell. It's really foggy out there.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen, Brooklyn?
Rudolph's going to lead the sleigh.
To make matters worse, Dasher and Dancer were fighting over who was to lead the reindeer. I was chosen first, said Dasher, stamping angrily. But you always trip over the moon, said Dancer, kicking a fallen star. Even Santa was cross. We'll never get there if you two don't stop quarreling, you said. And where is my Christmas list, Dash? It all. I can't see a thing in this fog. It's really foggy. It's really bad weather.
Yeah. And Rudolph's going to lead the sleigh.
You don't know that, Mason?
I do.
Just then, a soft red glow lit up in the snow. Thank goodness, said Santa, suddenly jolly again. I found my list. Ho, ho! I must have tucked it in my belt. Where'd that red light come from, Brooklyn?
I don't know.
You don't know? I bet it came from somebody's nose. Who brought this fine lantern? Asked Santa. I must take it with me. Why, I can see perfectly now. It's not a lantern, said Rudolph, trembling. The light comes from my nose. Oh! Comes from my
No.
nose. Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, said Santa. I'm certainly glad to see you. Your light will guide my sleigh tonight. I appoint you head of my team and number one reindeer in all the world. Whoa! So who's the number one reindeer?
Yeah. Rudolph.
Rudolph. Rudolph held his head high. Proudly he pranced to the front of the team. All the other reindeer bowed. Donder and Dancer helped Rudolph put on the harness, and Cupid gave him a beautiful sprig of holly berries. Then down through the clouds and over the sleeping house, Santa and his team flew on that foggy Christmas Eve. And leading the whole process was Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. So if you see a soft glow in the sky on Christmas Eve, you can be sure that Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all, is very near. You guys want to sing the song?
Yeah. Rudolph
The red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it.
glows.
It what? What's it do?
Glows. All
of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him. What'd they call him? They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one what? Foggy Christmas.
Santa
came to say,
ho, ho, ho,
Ho
Rudolph,
ho,
with
with
your
your
nose
nose
so bright,
won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him. And he what?
As they sighed out
With
glee.
glee.
Yippee! They never let
Poor Rudolph
join
join in any what?
reindeer
Reindeer games. Okay, that's one book. Awesome, guys.